when it was going on, it's jumping around, getting pictures of people, and then they disappear. Can you all hear me all right?
Yep.
Yep.
Can hear you fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Or I'll put the notes up on the screen. So you see that?
Yep. Yep.
Right. Okay, good. Let's get going. Right. So moving along with the process now. Again, I'll just reiterate that this is basically what the contractors do. Our consulting friends don't go through this process, but in your documents, you would be specifying all these activities. So it's important for you as well to know what the process is. But this is hands-on work for contractors to complete. So last week we talked about testing and commissioning. So we've got through that, and now we have to produce the operation and maintenance manuals. It's a requirement of all projects that we produce an operation and maintenance manual, usually called O&M manuals. It's a very important document, must be completed and submitted as soon as possible after completion. In some cases, and in most cases, the final payment for our contract work won't be released until the approved manual is submitted. So that becomes critical in contracting, that we might have, a fair sum of money, fairly large sum of money still owing to us, which will not be paid until the manual is finished. So it is a very important document. That's one thing. Money is one thing, but just being able to hand over to our clients all of the details of the project and how it is to be operated and so on, that's very important to our clients as well. Now, often a builder or project manager will ask for a draft O&M manual to be submitted during the construction phase. Now, particularly on larger projects, they might ask for this even right at the start of the project. But perhaps 3 to 6 months before the project is due to finish, they'll want a draft manual so that interested parties can have a look at it, the format of it, what we intend to include, and might come back with some comments about what they want us to include in the manual. That's a good idea anyway. And again, I'm talking about the contracting people, to compile the O&M manual progressively during construction, so that as you get information on things like equipment, once the equipment has all been finalised, just keep a separate folder and keep all this stuff together. When you have spare time, you can write up the description of all the systems. So the O&M manual provides a description of all the equipment and systems in the project, as well as operating and maintenance instructions required. So in summary, the O&M manual will have at least the following information. So the project name and relevant parties involved, which would be the builder, the client, the consulting engineer, if there is one on the project, and the contractor who has done the work. Another thing to include is the practical completion date. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute, but that's basically when the project is handed over for use by the client, and that's when the warranty starts. Design criteria. This is the design temperatures and humidities for the spaces, the ambient design conditions, outside air rates, ventilation rates, and so on. That's important to put that in, and that would normally come, if there's a specification, would come from there, or a project brief, or an agreement for the project. It's really important to have that because I know in my own experience, people have made inquiries after the systems have been in operation saying, oh, it's 24 degrees in here. And you look at the design criteria, yes, that's what it's designed for. It's subjective. I think Stephen might have brought this up once before, but temperatures are subjective and don't suit everybody. But the aim of the project is to achieve the design criteria. If it was 25 degrees or 26 degrees, okay, there's a bit of a problem. It needs to be looked at. But if you're achieving the design criteria, that's the aim of the project. If somebody wants to make a request to change that, that can be done. But generally, you know, you've satisfied what's been asked for. A description of all the HVAC systems installed. That's important so that people can review that and understand what the systems entire, what they're doing, what areas they serve, and what equipment is achieving those systems. HVAC equipment schedules. Now, these have been prepared previously. As you're working through the schedules, we've talked about schedules before. They're all ready to go. Once they've got to the stage of they've been ordered and they've been delivered to site, they can be updated to a construction or as installed phase or stage, and they can go straight into the manual. And I've put a note on the side here, plus commissioning data. That's really important. Once the commissioning is completed and it's been approved or signed off, all of that information goes into the manual as well. And that's very helpful when you're looking back at a project. If someone asks a question about a project, it might be years later. You can go back, you've got all the descriptions of the systems, you've got the schedules, the commissioning data, and you can look up what was commissioned at the time. And as a double check, you can go back and check all those commissioning figures. Maybe the airflows have dropped off for some reason, and that might lead you to find that the filters have been clogged up or, you know, things like that. But these things should be, filters should be changed during the normal maintenance schedules, but the commissioning data will help to troubleshoot later on if there are any problems. Now, next we've got the equipment suppliers and contact details. So you have a list of all those people who supply the air conditioning units, the fans, whatever it may be, louvers, grills. And again, the people who manage the building, if they need to contact the suppliers for whatever reason, they've got the details at hand. As installed drawings. So the mechanical services shop drawings are updated with any changes that are made on site, and this is quite common for the drawings to be updated at various times during construction, and then at the end when the job's finished, they're converted to as installed or up-revved to as installed drawings. Now they can be supplied in hard copy. Back in the days before CAD drafting, they were obviously supplied in hard copy, but these days they're more likely to be supplied electronically, which is much easier to handle, as long as your client is happy with that and has a means of viewing the drawings. Also, as installed electrical wiring diagrams and controls details go into the manual. So it's basically it's a book for the whole project that someone can pick up and understand everything that's been installed. Then we've got instructions for operating the systems, including any safety precautions, and controls functional description. Functional description I'll put over on the side here, or FD, is a document that the controls company will normally provide for a project if it's got a BMS, right, and a DDC. In any case, even if it doesn't have a DDC or BMS, you need a description of how the systems operate. So there'll be some sort of controls description. If there is a DDC and BMS, it's good to include the points list as well, so that anyone can look at the inputs and outputs and how things are supposed to function. And the DDC points list and functional description can be read together. So the functional description is an English language description of how the things operate, and the points list give you the inputs and outputs. So those two things should match. And that's one of the procedures, actually checking, when you're checking the control systems, that they do match. That's important. Instructions for maintenance procedures and recommended frequencies. So there might be things that are required to be done daily, weekly, monthly, or annual. Daily, probably not that many things daily, but weekly, you might just check that everything's running correctly. There's no funny noises. Or monthly, you might look at the filters. Annually, it's really repeating all the monthly procedures, but also if you've got, say, chillers in the project, there might be annual procedures that you need to follow, or cleaning out the tubes of the chiller or things like that. Then we've got manufacturer's technical information on the equipment and controls devices. So this can be quite a big section of all the technical details of the equipment that's been provided for the project. And warranty information. This really refers to warranty certificates. Some equipment may have longer than 12 months warranty. So refrigeration compressors, for instance, they might come with a 5-year warranty. And electric motors, more than 12 months. Normally the warranty period is 12 months, but a lot of this equipment, air conditioning equipment, comes with a longer warranty than that. And that's beneficial to the client. So that, you know, if something does fail in the first few years, they're still covered by a warranty on that equipment. Any questions on that so far? We can continue on with the next stage if you like, but if you've got any questions, I can pause here and answer those. All silent? Okay. I'm still having trouble viewing everybody. It comes and goes. I don't know whether it's something with the internet, but I don't know how to fix that. All right. Well, I can't hear any noises, so I'll continue on. So we come to testing and commissioning are completed. The O&M manuals are completed and submitted, approved. We get to practical completion and warranty period. So when commissioning is completed, the systems are in operation, the builder issues a certificate of practical completion and the HVAC system warranty period commences. So practical completion means that the systems are ready to run, they've been commissioned, they're safe to operate, and they're providing the conditions that are required by the design criteria of the project, so they can get started and the warranty starts. It might occur in stages. So a hospital, for instance, they might want to open the wards. Oh, everyone's back. Hello, everyone. I can see you there. Maybe it's something with the internet this morning. It's jumping in and out. Yeah, so it might occur in stages, and then so it gets a little bit more complicated as to how you deal with the warranty, and that's negotiable. You know, the builder or client will negotiate with the contractor to determine the warranty, but in basic terms, the warranty of any particular system should start when that system's put into operation. Because, you know, if something starts 6 months or 12 months before the rest of the project, then yeah, there needs to be some warranty period to cover that. Okay, as I said, practical completion means that the HVAC systems can be used safely and beneficially, but there may be some minor defects still to be rectified. So, you know, these aren't affecting the operation of the systems, but they will need to be rectified. And there could be quite a lot of them, but they're not really affecting any part of the operation. So we can still get practical completion with some minor defects, and they'll be rectified as soon as possible within the warranty period. That's called the defects liability period. Okay, DLP. I'm mentioning these things because these are things you'll come across, these terms. PC, practical completion, DLP, defects liability. And defects liability will continue normally for 12 months during the warranty period. The warranty period can be longer in some cases. Normally it's 12 months from the date of PC. So the PC date, practical completion date, is quite important. That's a major milestone in the project. And then the warranty starts. So, and that's why I said before to put that in the manual, because there may be some question later on, oh, when was the PC date? Well, it's in the manual. And 12 months to the day after that date, the warranty ends. Now, that's assuming that all of the defects have been rectified. Really, the defects shouldn't be major and they should be cleaned up within a couple of months, but sometimes they might drag on. So they've got to be finished before the end of the warranty period. If not, then there'll be some arguments about, well, you're not really finished because you haven't finished the defects yet. So it's important to the contractor to have them finished, because there'll be some sort of financial hold or retention on the contractor until the end of the warranty period. And back in the old days, it used to be 10% of the contract value. Now, that on a big project, that could be a significant sum of money. More common these days is to have a bank guarantee, which means that the bank is guaranteeing the value of that retention. So if it's 10%, let's say it's a $1 million project, so the builder is going to hold $100,000 on the contractor until the end of the warranty period. But we can provide a bank guarantee for $100,000, and that the builder will be happy with that. But there's a fee for that. We have to pay the bank to provide a guarantee. So it might be a fee of, I don't know what it is, 1%, 2%, for the bank to cover us for that period. So these are just things to be aware of. There's, the financial aspects are important, because we're here to make some money out of this work. You don't do it for fun. Well, it should be fun, but you should be making some money as well. Any questions on that?
I got a question.
Okay. Yeah.
So with the warranty certificates, I see that you said that some equipment may have a longer one based on what equipment it is. So is the warranty period something that the builder picks themselves, or does it depending on what is being warranted? Does the builder decide like
the warranty
overall period?
The warranty period, and it's normally 12 months. So that's for the project as it's installed. And so the contractor has to provide warranty labour and equipment warranty for the 12 months period. But I'll just mention that because some other equipment, such as, say, VRF systems or DX split systems, parts such as the compressors may have an extended warranty, like 5 years. So if in the 5-year period of that warranty, well, let's say the first 12 months during the defects liability period, if a compressor fails, then the contractor would replace the compressor without any labour charges, okay? And the equipment suppliers would supply a new compressor for no charge. After the defects liability period, the contractor is actually free of his obligations. So if a compressor failed after that period, so we're into the second year and the compressor fails, then the warranty on the compressor still applies, so that the equipment suppliers, so it's Daikin or Mitsubishi, they'll supply another compressor free of charge, but someone will have to be engaged to install the compressor. Now, it might be the contractor who did the job, but basically the contractor is finished with that job now. He's completed all the defects and moved on to another project, So if they want that contractor to replace the compressor, then they would have to pay labour. That makes sense? So
Yeah, that
12
clears things
months
up.
is the 12 months is the end of that warranty period for the contractor, but other equipment still may have warranties that continue on. So if a compressor failed after a few years and the owner of the building decided they didn't want to get the contractor back, they'll just get Joe Blow down the road to do it. Well, he can do it, but he will charge some money as well to actually install it, but the compressor will be free issued.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Anything else there? All right, keep going. We might as well finish off. I thought we might have a couple of sessions, but we can probably finish this off today. So we get to the handover phase. Everything's done. This is at practical completion or just after practical completion. So the systems are in operation. Sometimes the builder or the client will ask the contractor to make a presentation. It can be done in various ways. There's no set way of doing this, but they might, for instance, the contractor might send in their commissioning team to walk through the project with the owner or the operator, and just show them where all the equipment is, show them how to operate it. Or it might be in a meeting room. We'll sit down and the engineers might attend and just take the drawings. You'll take the operation and maintenance manual, sit down and go through the project with them and explain to them what's in the project and basically how it's supposed to work, and or how it does work. Or at this stage, it's working. Show them how they can start and stop it, how the controls work. Basically, just go through the job. So the manual is a good way to use, a good way to present the project, because you can go through everything. You've got the drawings, you've got the operation procedures, all the maintenance procedures, and all the equipment. So any questions that are asked will be answered in the operation and maintenance manual. So you can hand that over to them. They will ask questions. I can recall a handover meeting that I attended several years ago. It was a university job. It was a very complicated laboratory project. So we had quite a few people there. The consulting engineers were there. The university properties people were there. The people who actually are responsible for running the buildings, and quite a few others. So there's probably 10 people involved in it. So we went, and it was a complicated project, and it was a very sophisticated project. So it was really important that everyone had a chance to ask questions and understand how it worked, because once all the commissioning is finished and we've handed it over, it's really up to the client to run the project. Obviously, there might be tuning involved from the contractor to come and adjust things, test things occasionally, but the day-to-day running of the project is now handed over to the client. So when all that's finished and the client is happy with what's been done, project is finished basically, and until the end of the DLP period. So at the end of the warranty period or the end of the DLP, that's the final completion. So that after 12 months, as long as there's no major hiccups along the way, but if there are, it's under warranty and they have to be rectified. So if a unit breaks down and stops working, well, it's got to be replaced or repaired. Major disasters are pretty uncommon, but they can happen, and motors can fail, and so they need to be replaced. So and I keep saying this, but it is important. Another important aspect of success is that the contractor has made a profit on the project. Now, everyone's in business to make some money. Doesn't matter where you come from. And if you're not making any money, you're not going to stay in business for very long. So, that's part of the aim of the project, is to make some money out of it, so we can be around to do another project. So it's always good to keep that in mind, that there is money involved. When a project tender is submitted by the contractor, there's a certain allowance for profit margin in the price. Now, these can be very tight. It could be as low as 5%, even lower. So it's not, on a large project, there's a fair bit of risk involved in making a profit. If things go wrong during a construction period, that 5% can disappear pretty quickly. So it's important to keep an eye on that. And so a very important aspect of carrying out the work is to ensure that we can achieve at least the budgeted profit margin for the project. So if we've made an allowance of 5% profit, we really have to aim to achieve at least that. In contracting, we use value engineering initiatives and good practice in the whole process, with the aim to improve on the budgeted profit margin. Now, we haven't discussed value engineering. I don't know whether the consulting people have come across this at all, or value management. It's the term that's quite often used in your field, probably. Have you guys had anything to do with value management?
I've heard about it, but haven't been involved in it.
Okay. So, well, that's something that you'll probably see on most projects. Value engineering from the contractor's point of view is looking at just the mechanical systems and seeing if there are alternative ways of doing things or better ways of doing it. And the better way may often save some money. And if we can do that, we'll try and achieve that. But there'll always be discussion with the consulting engineers or the builder, whoever we're dealing with directly, as to whether those initiatives are acceptable. And we would explain why we propose to do that and what the benefits are. But one of the aims, I won't say the primary aim, but one of the aims is to try and improve the budgeted profit margin. But another aim might be that it actually improves the project. And so it's a win-win if we can save a bit of money on the project, but also improve the project. And that's quite common. So value management is more about the whole project. So the architect might have ideas on how he could change something and save some money, or the builder. And I've seen this many times. The builder might have some ideas about how he can save some money. And they might say, look, we can change the glass. Now, this is one to be careful of, because the builder might say, look, I can buy some glass that's, it's not the one that you've specified, but it'll do the same job. Well, and I can save you some money. Okay, well, so they might go ahead and do that. But from the engineering point of view, we need to be careful that the glass is equivalent to what they've told us in the first place, because it could affect the heat loads and the whole project design. So just have to be careful that these things do match the project design criteria. And so it goes right across the board for value management. Every contractor might have, and the structural engineers might have different ways of doing things that can save some money for the project, because the project overall was over budget from the start. So that's what they're looking to try and save. So we get through the warranty period, we get the final completion, and the project is completed. So that last several weeks, in a nutshell, is the process that, as contractors, that we follow. And it's all relevant to the consulting people as well, because you may or may not be involved in the whole process, but you need to, in your documents, you're specifying the whole process from go to woe. So, you're describing all the systems, you're describing what's required in testing and commissioning, what's required for controls, what's required for the O&M manuals and the handover process. So I hope that's been beneficial to you. I did have some exercises listed here, which I haven't prepared at this stage, but these are things that, you know, you can have a look at yourself and practice some of these things. But these are just things that you do in your normal daily work anyway, so you'll come across all these things. Any questions? I've got a thumbs up there. All good. All right, well, thanks for your attendance. I expected, as I said, I expected we would have one more session, but that's basically the end of that program. So we're going to have a break for a few weeks now, and we'll be starting again. I think it's on the 21st of March, on the Tuesday. So I'll send out an invitation for that anyway. And we're going to start to get into a little bit more detail with the equipment that we use, equipment selections. I'm going to talk some more about the NCC and relevant Australian standards, because I have to keep sort of reminding everyone about those things, that you've got to be aware of what the requirements are. We'll briefly talk about heat loads and psychrometrics and fan statics, and then equipment selections, different types of equipment, applications. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll send you out. We're still trying to finalise the curriculum, so I'll send it out to all of you when we've agreed on that. And it's pretty close now. I think we're just about there. And then obviously I've got a bit of work to do in the background to prepare for all that. So it'll be a few weeks, and we'll be talking again in a bit more detail about things that are relevant to all of us. Okay. Did you hear that? Just give us a nod, because I'm getting some funny pictures on the screen at the moment of it looks like it's freezing a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
That comes through okay? Okay. All right, well, thanks everyone, and we'll be in touch again soon. If you've got any questions afterwards, feel free to just send me an email. I'll help you out if I can. But I'll be sending out, as I said, I'll send out the curriculum for the next stage, and the starting date, just to confirm that. And I'll send you an invitation for the first session sometime in the next week. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you later.
See you later.
Yeah.